Be excellent to each other and party on. We're back for another Legacy League, and today we're playing Blue-Black Kaito Bane of Nightmares Control. This is a control deck. It is not a tempo deck, but we do have some tempo elements. We've got the 4 Wastelands, which I think are just a solid choice. If you can afford to play 4 Wastelands in your control deck, you should. It is really good against Cavern of Souls, against Urza Saga, against Maze of Ith, cards that have historically been problematic for wastelandless control decks to deal with. We've got a Singleton Daze, which functions as essentially Force of Will number 5. And once we daze our opponents, they are going to hopefully play around it for the rest of the game, even though it's just a 1-of in our 75. We have a big supporting cast of creatures to help enable Kaito's ninjutsu ability. We have Mockingbird, which can mimic our opponent's creatures, but can also just be a 1/1 to enable Kaito for 1 mana that flies. Or it can come in, copy a Baleful Strix, and suddenly we've got a second powerful Death Touchy blocker that cantrips. Or, most powerfully, it can mock our opponent's Bowmasters and give us Bowmaster Supremacy, because Bowmaster Supremacy is very important. You want to cast the second Bowmasters, and you want to make sure that you're the only player with a Bowmaster on the table. So, of course, we have 4 Bowmasters. The Disruption Suite for this deck, other than the days that I mentioned earlier, we've got the 4 Force of Wills. We've got 4 Thoughtseize that are very well positioned right now. And we've got 2 Nile Spell Bombs. The mana base is perfect. I love this mana base. This is basically the exact blue-black tempo mana base that we've been playing for basically a year at this point. And the sideboard is very anti-Eldrazi with 4 Consigns and 2 Harbingers. It's anti-Moonstompy with 3 Hydroblasts, 3 Force of Negations. I think the only decks that I've been losing to consistently with this deck have been like Glass Cannon combo decks, like Oops All spells, so I don't have a problem going up to 3 Force of Negations. We're not playing Daze, so it is important to have additional counter magic. We have an Engineered Explosives, which hits Chalice and potentially hits like Rhinos. I've played against Rhinos a couple times recently. Chalice is still kind of a problem. We've got 22 1-drops in the deck. And we have, of course, 2 more Grafdigger's Cage to complement the 2 main deck Nile Spellbombs so that we can beat Graveyard Strategies. It should be a fun, interactive 5 rounds. As always, we're going to play the full league, and I encourage you to leave comments with timestamps if you have feedback on my play. This not only helps me, but it helps everybody else tuning in. See you in round 1. Round 1, we're up against a likely Beanstalk opponent. Yes, today. They finished 30th. Congrats in a Legacy Challenge with Beanstalk. So they're probably on Beanstalk, but they're playing lots of different control decks. I'm pretty excited to play control on control. Let's get this show on the road. We won the die roll. We have a great hand. They could certainly have Wasteland here, but I think it's fine to... Let's see. Do they play Wastelands? They play 4 Wastelands. So option 1 is just to... but if they're wasting us, I do want to make sure we have access. They may also play around Daze if we open Underground Sea. So I think I'm going to open Underground Sea into Thoughtseize. The next turn, if the coast is clear, we can potentially Tamio. And if they're not on Beanstalk, if they're on something else, Thoughtseize, like turn 1 Thoughtseize is just one of the safest, most impactful things you can do. I'm not sure whether this Fatal Push will find a home. All right, they are indeed on Beanstalk, and you always go after the stock. They do have a Wasteland. If they fire that Wasteland off on us, they are giving up the opportunity to turn to Beanstalk. Us Beanstalking them does tell them that like we think this game's going to go long. I think the cowardly thing to do is just go basic. Can we get into the land? Okay, this is a good card. I mean, we can't just go basic island just in case. Yeah, I think I'm going to go basic island just to be careful. I don't think we need this Fatal Push, and Kaito's several turns away. All right. So we will be forcing Beanstalk with Kaito if it comes to it. You don't let Beanstalk resolve. They're fetching. They could have found like a Fatal Push. I don't think we push to protect. Okay, they are playing white now. Is this Plow? Prismatic Ending. Yep, I'm going to let it happen. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to force this, and they'll have to force back under Beanstalk. And then we waste, and we're creating clues. Wait. Yeah, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to see if they want to go into the dirt with me. I think this is probably a mistake, but I already committed to the line. Okay, they're forcing back. So they are going to get rid of this, but we're going to waste them, and they may not have another land. They do have a Brainstorm. Our hand is garbage. We're looking for a Brainstorm pretty bad ourselves. This is unfortunate. So we're basically living off the top of our deck. The moment we find a black source, though, we are going to be able to hit them. They've given up their Brainstorm. They did find a land. Okay, that's not good. We could easily lose this despite being on the play. All right, Brainstorm, set us free. All right, we didn't get there. This sucks. We can bomb them to shut off Murktide as a potential thing, but yeah, what we're gonna have to do is just Tamio next turn, and we're just gonna hope that they don't find mana for Beanstalk. If they do, we're really screwed. Like they found it. Okay, it's bad luck. But I would argue that force was probably like what would we have done if we hadn't forced there? We wouldn't have had the mana to do anything anyway. I think we probably have lost. They're the bigger control deck. If they're playing Wasteland, they may not actually be playing like domain type Beanstalk stuff. So at this point, like if they, yeah, I think this has to be a 50-50 matchup. And they have another answer. We know we're drawing dead. I'm just going to play it out. Like we got plenty of clock, but we're not going to win this game. I don't think. I think we're like super duper screwed. So one option is just crack the spell bomb. But cracking spell bomb for no value is not good. Yeah, they Murktide, but like we're probably losing anyway. I think we need the card. And it'll be a few turns before we can get the card. They're not doing anything, which is some consolation. There's a force that we can't use. Another one. Oh, Loam. That's annoying, but it's not necessarily death. You see, I'm glad we're playing because we're learning more about their deck. It can be really tilting when things don't go your way, when your opponent's like rip land like 6 times in a row or 5 times in a row. Okay, so this doesn't actually copy anything. I'm not going to cast it. I will cast it to kill a Bowmaster if my opponent Bowmasters me at some point. I will get into a force fight over another Beanstalk, but you know, any force will on force will exchanges favor our opponent at this point. They've got essentially infinite mana for the rest of the game. Lorien Revealed is a very real possibility down the road. We can expect Carpet postboard. Uro, that is fatal pushable, but it does generate value, and it's a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1 by the time we push it. We can bomb them. I really want to draw a black source and just spell bomb and draw a card. That's what I want. If they attempt to Prismatic End, I'll just hit that, but I don't think they're likely to do that. Green. What costs 1 green mana? Hooting Mandrills. This is not pushable. We can't copy it. I mean, this... So I don't think they're doing the domain thing. I don't think they're playing black at all. It makes sense to force now because we're going to die to this. I don't take forcing lightly here. Okay. So they do get the card draw, and it's like a 3-for-1, but we're not like in immediate danger of death because we can just clear this arrow, and we'll unfortunately just have to clear the arrow in order to continue to survive. I'm going to play this out. Now that we know that they depend on their graveyard, I think it would be remiss not to just hit that because any card goes in their graveyard and suddenly arrows on. I could have waited till they put like a card in their graveyard. 5 cards. Okay, there's another. That's the Wasteland we knew about. They actually can like hard cast Hooting Mandrills if they need to with the mana they're currently presenting. That's what they're doing. Oh, Solitude. Yeah, we'll keep learning about their deck. It's so tempting to scoop. Okay, I'm going to scoop. Okay, so 5 drops. Yeah, makes sense. It's just Bant. Bant with Wastelands. All right, so Harbinger comes in. I think I saw a lot of non-basics there, and being able to strand stuff, not the worst. I don't think anything else comes in. Engineered Explosives is not the worst because it can hit. I think Fatal Push comes out. I didn't see a single target for Fatal Push. That gives us 1 more card we can bring in. I think it's probably Force Negation. Spellbomb stays in. I mean, it's not a great card, but it does cantrip. All right. So we're going to try to bully them. Yeah, technically Fatal Push can kill like Uro, but I think by the time Uro's on the table, the game is spiraled so far out of control. So this is another hand like last game's. If they do have the Wasteland, we're just completely cooked. And these borrowers are good for mid-game. They're not great, but like Bowmasters is insane here. Okay, so I'm going to do the ill-advised thing. I think Bowmasters is just insane against their deck. I'm going to just swamp. Okay, I have two options. One, we're not doing anything until we draw our second land anyway. When we draw our second land, it'll probably be a Brainstorm. I think we just Underground Sea, Thoughtseize, and then next turn we Brainstorm. And we just take the L if they have a Wasteland. And they deploy it immediately. The other option, of course, is to just chill for a turn and surveil, and then we have Brainstorm. I actually think that's totally reasonable and less risky. They're not going to come out of the gate swinging with a combo, but Thoughtseize is good against them. We may be able to Brainstorm into another dual land and then be able to Thoughtseize them. They have Life from the Loam in their deck, which is scary because they could just waste lock us if we're playing on non-basics like that. Mulling to 6. They are a 3-color deck that supports Wasteland, so we have a natural kind of like advantage in that we only need 2 colors and they need 3 to function. And they are using all 3. Like if they're playing Uro, they're really heavy into green. Okay. So I think turn 1, we just chill. And we hope that they don't play Stifle. That is a possibility. But I'm just going to do the safest path to the second land. Like I think Orcish Bowmasters is going to be insane in this matchup because they're going to be drawing a lot of cards and we can really cramp their style. Okay. This is great. This means doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay, the fact that they bottom to Solitude may mean that they are soft to Wasteland if we find a Wasteland here. I'm going to bin anything that's not a land. It doesn't matter how... Well, I'll keep a Ponder. That's the one exception. Getting some lag at MTGO. Hopefully this match doesn't come down to time. Okay. This is one of those matchups that could beat time. It's control and control. It's also a possibility they're playing Daze, but Daze is pretty uncomfortable to play when you have a Surveil land as your only land. If there's any consolation to the lag, it seems that my opponent's getting hit with it too because they've been sitting there for 30 seconds on what should be, a quick priority pass. Okay, so I'm going to get the sewer. Let's find a land. Harbinger goes into the sea. Oh, okay, let's Brainstorm. Our opponent's going to know we're screwed if we don't find a land here. All right. Never didn't have it, as they say. We can put back this borrower for now. I actually think I'm going to put back both borrowers, but then we don't have a blue card for force. I want to have all these lands. Maybe we just put back the force since we have the Thoughtseize. We have a path to both of our basics. I like doing that. I think I'm going to put back the force. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my swamp, and I'll just Thoughtseize them. And if they waste this, it's no big deal. Next turn we can grab the island. And we will have unimpeachable mana. We will not have to fear the waste lock. Okay, so their hand is pretty mediocre, but they did have the wasteland. Very important that we found the lands there. I wouldn't be surprised if they just waste us here. Spell Pierce we have 0 fear for Spell Pierce. We're going to be resolving lands and stuff. I think Force is probably the most impactful card they have in their hand. However, I hate to do that when we get 2-for-1s. Gosh, this is really tough because none of these cards are good. Mandrills is not a big deal because we can just bounce it even if it resolves. I'll take the Pierce. Yeah, and we have Strix too. And if they're not playing Delver, or if they're not playing Bowmasters, then they're not going to be able to do a lot against us. Yeah, here's the Wasteland, and they're just going to probably chill and do nothing here, which is fine by me. All right, wild card. It is a force. That's great. I'm just going to go ahead and get an island and just immediately Strix to dig deeper into our deck. And we'll get Bowmaster out later. Okay, double force. It's fine. It's not great. They are... This is Delve 5. So they could get this out. Trop. Yeah, they're going to... Oh, this. Yeah. I think we just start by countering this. And I'm just going to pitch my force here. They didn't draw a blue card for force, so we stopped their most important and scariest spell. But they are going to be able to Mandrills next turn. They're not going to be cantripping when they Mandrills. I really wish we had another land. I'm just going to swing in, and then I will end step the Bowmaster. We could just stun the Mandrills. I think there's a decent chance they just Mandrills here. They do have 4 cards. Another Beanstalk. I think we need to go ahead and fight now. They do have a force in hand. They may have removal for this. This is going to resolve, and they're going to get pinged unless they can remove it. Okay, great. All right, so we're growing our army. We're going to get another Bowmasters on the table next turn. They did tap out of green, so... Oh, wow. Just feed it. Put it into my bowmasters. He loves shooting things and getting his army, like recruiting more and more of these dudes, the slackjaw yokel over here. Offensive to anybody from the south. I'm from the southwest, so it's kind of south. Okay. That is a term from like 100 years ago. I don't think anybody's likely to be. Okay, so I'm going to swing with everything. And I do want a Thoughtseize here. Just in case they like ripped like a plow or something. I think if they ripped a plow, they would have used it. But if they ripped like a prismatic ending, that's pretty important. Let's go ahead and do this now just to see what they're up to. I want to get this other Bowmaster on the table, but I'd rather do it after we make sure that, okay, they have Wrath of the Skies. That's kind of important to take. Yeah, I'm definitely taking that. And then we just are dealing with Force and Hootie, which triggers the Bowmaster. I'm going to attack with everything. And then next turn, we can just pile on further. If we draw a land, we'll Kaito and we'll stun their creature. They won't be able to force the Kaito. We'll take the Strix back into hand, so we'll never have a window where they're free of Bowmasters. Did they rip it? They ripped the freaking best possible card. That's terrible for us. Okay, and now they do get the trigger and, you know, the whole song and dance. Yeah, that sucks. All right, so they get another card, and we know they have a force on deck to stop our second Bowmasters, and it almost certainly will stop it. Yeah, it's just bad luck. But this sort of stuff happens. If we get a land, we can still Kaito and stun. We didn't get a Kaito land. Oh, man. Our deck's not participating. It's not cooperating. I'm almost certain. Let's see. We bounce this out of play. We can get in an attack. Maybe they force. And we need to get that force out of their hand so that we can resolve a Bowmasters. Yeah, they're low enough in life that I'm going to go ahead and try to do this. And it's fine if they force this. They're going to get another Bowmaster trigger. Okay, great. They're forcing. That's what I wanted them to do. They draw a card. They probably found another plow or something. We can't attack. We're just chilling. It's possible they rip like a freaking Murktide or something. We've done everything we can. We can't get tilted. This is a favorable matchup. I swear it's a favorable matchup. We're just, our deck is not giving us the land we need. Okay, that's fine. Really unfortunate that they had the double force so that we couldn't brainstorm there. They did pitch a force to force. At this point, it might have been better. We wouldn't know if we had, if they had the Pierce, they would have been able to use that on the Thoughtseize. So we at least got a 2-for-1. But yeah, I fully expect them to find some removal here. Another Beanstalk, just absolutely crushed. We're getting completely destroyed here. We are going to have to go for another Bowmaster here. Hopefully they swing in. They don't swing in. Okay. All right. Let's see. Well, we can definitely Kaito here. They could Solitude. I'm going to fetch before combat because I don't want them to get like wise to the fact that we have Kaito. Because the second they see you tapping mana in the, they can Solitude, and we know they have Solitude in their deck. They're going to take it. I am going to go ahead and stun this so I can swing in next turn, and then should be lethal, I believe. They may be able to deal with this. Bowmaster being able to come down, though, is nice. But, like, Solituding this, they don't have enough mana to, like, actually cast the Solitude. They can just invoke it. Evoke it. Get lost. Oh, it can destroy a Planeswalker? Oh, that sucks. It's a pretty bad card, frankly. Like, but it is good, I guess, in this exact situation. All right. Exploring, I think we get a land if we do this. I'm going to do this first. It doesn't tap the creature, right? It's just Kaito Band of Nightmares. Actually, we do put it in our graveyard. So wait, we don't draw the card. So we can do this again and we can get it up to 5. But we can just Bowmaster ping them now. They can't force. I'll leave it on top. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to Bowmaster now. Because this basically makes this lethal. They can plow. Okay, they force. All right, they get double trigger. They could find a Solitude here. And we're not going to get to kill him this turn, unfortunately. Yeah, maybe that was a mistake. We do have... I mean, next turn we can just Strix and then do this if we need to get another... yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they have. Because a Solitude, a Force, Prismatic Ending, they have so many cards they can use here. Flooded Strand that they can't crack. Do they have a way to gain life? Uro? Teferi? Let's force that. Pitch Tamio. Even Strix is good here. They can't force. They could pierce. Okay, wow. That was freaking, holy cow. That was way harder than it should have been. Okay. I mean, I consider this to be a very favorable matchup, so I hope I don't sound like I'm entitled for my win or whatever. No, that's not what I'm trying to get at. So engineered explosives, we could have blown up two of them. And keep in mind, whenever you blow up a Beanstalk, it feels really bad because they already got the card. It's a built-in 2-for-1. Do we want to make any changes? I don't think Fatal Push does anything. I would be surprised if their creature suite is anything that costs less than 5. Other than Uro, which, as I discussed earlier, is not really what we need to be thinking about. Mockingbird's pretty bad here, actually, because it's always just going to be copying like one of our creatures. They're never going to have anything that we can actually afford to Mockingbird. I guess we could, in theory, Mockingbird copying Uro, but then it would just die, which is not good because it's just like a bad cantrip. So Mockingbird's definitely the weakest card here. I think we could bring in another Force Negation. I mean, it was pretty important there. It just feels bad 2-for-1ing ourselves against the deck that's drawing like crazy. We are on the draw, though, and we do need to be able to stop. And they're wasting us, too, which makes it even harder to cast this. I think I'm going to keep Mockingbird in. It's a mediocre card here. It's like, this is like a terrible matchup for it, but yeah, it's better than a Force Negation. All right, let's hope that our opponent doesn't draw like they've been drawing, because they've been drawing like incredibly well. And again, I don't want to sound salty or tilted or anything like that, but game one, like they just drew lands back to back, which was precisely what they needed. And game two, they drew like the forces they needed. They drew the Beanstalks to replace the Beanstalk we took from their hand. No, wait, actually we didn't strip a Beanstalk from their hand. Game two. All right, 14 minutes on both of our clocks. This should be an exciting one. Here's hoping for a game and not a non-game. Like if either of us get like mana screwed or something, that's not going to be very fun. Okay, so we have our best card. They could just randomly have a Wasteland. Two of our best card. We're on the draw. I don't think wasting them does anything. I think we don't waste them. I actually think if we mulligan this, I want to get basics. Oh my goodness. Okay, it looks like we might be headed for a non-game. So we're going to have to mull the 5 here. And this, I don't want you to get the vibe that like we always struggle with mana, but we are getting some bad hands here. This is a basic island into Ponder. At this point in the game, I think we have to keep it. I'm going to put back Kaito. That's like a later game problem. And Spellbomb is a good card for sure. Brazen Borrower answers early Murktide. That's really all it does. We haven't actually seen Murktide, but I presume it's in there. I want to be able to double Thoughtseize. So my plan is Ponder, turn 1. Or if we draw a land, then I'll just swamp and then I'll Thoughtseize. That would be the best thing. Like best draw is absolutely just a land. We have 19 lands in our deck. They were thinking about pondering. They may have a Brainstorm. I don't know why they would just tap and untap like that. Land, please. Okay, great. All right, now it's pretty simple. We're just going to... They may have Spell Pierce, which is fine. But I'm going to go get my Swamp. And then next turn, I'm going to get my Island. And we're just going to play nice and slow and try to take their best cards. They're Brainstorming here, which is fine. I'm still going to hopefully get something unless their hand is all lands, which would be good for us. We're probably not going to get the Beanstalk, though. Unfortunately, that's the card we really need to stop. But I'll take some other, 5+ mana card. All right, so... Most impactful thing here to take is, and knowing that we're going to take another card is probably the Ponder. And then we'll just Thoughtseize again next turn, and we can Ponder as well and try to find a threat. I think we're going to get Beanstalk here. Oh, well, that's a relief. I want to play this out. The Thoughtseize. Okay, they are Brainstorming yet again. That's fine. But we will get a card and be a parity. They're burning through their cantrips, but these actually help for Murktide. So... the fact that they've already drawn 3 cantrips is bad luck for us. But, we've had bad luck this entire match, in my humble opinion. Like, variance has not been kind. But we did luck out and drew that land. And we drew a third land, which we don't actually really want this third land. We just wanted enough for our basics. All right, so I think we take the Wrath because they can hit more than one card. And now I'm just going to Ponder off of an island. And I'm just going to continue to respect the fact that they could. So we're looking for Bowmaster for sure. These are all good. We have a third land. We can Bowmaster. We can even double up our Bowmaster. We did take the Wrath. Kaito could come out in 2 turns. Mockingbird can come out later. I think what we'll do is we'll end step Bowmaster. That'll probably get forced. And then we won't have anything to do with Mockingbird. But Mockingbird can still come out. All right. We'll just do that. And we'll pass. Their hand is currently Tundra, Force, something else. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, sorry. I completely lost track. I could go and rewatch the video. It's just maybe, it's Prismatic Ending. That's it. And of course they have the Beanstalk. Right in time for us to not be able to force it. Probably draw a blue card for force. And, Murktide. Well, we can't answer this. But they may be able to force. Okay, so their hand is force, 1 unknown. No, wait. It's Prismatic Ending. Okay. So I like this. There's no real reason for us to play this land out. I don't think that they play... Well, we have perfect information about their hand, right? It's just force. I'm not hallucinating or anything. Yeah, because they played out... Okay. So I think we just borrow and we chill. We don't need to subject this to a potential wasteland. And Prismatic Ending without any targets. So there's the wasteland. I'm glad I just held this. So now we're going to draw Kaito, and we're just going to hold Kaito. We're going to end step Bowmaster, and then we're going to go ahead and Kaito during their turn. That way we dodge Prismatic Ending. They do have force. They could very easily have a card that they can use to force this, and that would suck. Okay, they didn't force it. All right, I think I'm just going to go to combat here. They should have absolutely freaking wasted us, and it was a misplay for me to play out this. I should have played out the fetch instead. Bring this back to hand so I can surprise them with it later. They said, well, can't beat a perfect draw, lol. Not a bad set of cards. Thanks. Yeah, this lined up well. Okay, so now we are the one who is eliciting ire from our opponent. So I think we go ahead and just surveil here. Don't need this land. I don't really need this Tamio. It's not a bad card, but it does die to Prismatic Ending. I think I'm going to put it in my graveyard and see if I can... Oh, Harbinger is great. Harbinger will shut them off a lot of options, including the ability to Prismatic End it. So I think Harbinger will probably elicit the force if they have the ability to force. We have this on deck. If they remove this, we have additional Kaitos we're drawn to. Yeah, they just scooped. Wow, that was freaking climactic. All right, let's go to round 2. We're 1-0. Round 2, we are up against King Dingaling. Great name. I lost some time because I had to restart due to a bug in MTGO. I think this is a keep. This is a force. Our opponent's likely on depths, like turbo depths is what they've historically played. It's been a while. Let's just take one more look. Yeah, 4-color depths. This is turbo depths, I believe. Yeah, Hex Mage. This deck is not a great matchup for us, unfortunately. Our hand does do some stuff. It's a fine hand. I'm going to keep it. They're likely to needle Wasteland. So the fact that we don't have a Wasteland or anything like that, like it's not a big deal. Like even if we look for the Wasteland, they're probably going to needle it. What we probably need to do is just kill them quickly with Kaito. Kaito can stun if they give us a window where we can stun. Baleful Strix can block. Okay, this doesn't look like a Turbo Depths opening. This might be just like Delver or something. Okay, I think the play here is chill with Polluted Delta, and then we have Surveil once we have more information, or we can get a basic island. But we have double force, and we have Daze mana in case they are a Daze combo deck. Delver. Looking Delvery. Instep. Oh. Well, okay. So they are on Reanimator, or I'm sorry, gosh, what is it called? Dredge. So you do force this card. And unfortunately, we're going to have to force it a second time if they flash it back. That's just rules of engagement, unfortunately. I'm going to pitch Kaito. We're a few turns away from being able to use him. And I do need to like dig for my Graveyard Hate. And I do have main deck Graveyard Hate, which we're probably going to lose round 1. You almost always lose round 1 against Dredge. That's just how it rolls, how they roll. Okay, so I'm going to surveil here. We're going to be looking very specifically for Now Spellbomb. Then we're going to be looking very specifically for, gosh, what is our best card against them? I don't know. Actually, our deck is like really, well, I'm going to keep that. No, I'm not going to keep it. Like, I hate to put it in the graveyard because it's a really good way to close the game. But we do need to find like probably like a wasteland would be good. Yeah, I'm going to keep looking. This Fatal Push is terrible. We'll brainstorm it back. If we find a fetch, that's fine. Mockingbird is pretty terrible. I think I'm tempted to just brainstorm here because if we find a fetch, which we have 7 fetches in 49 cards, 49. Okay. I'm just going to ponder. I'm going to be conservative. We'll put this Fatal Push back later. Okay, we would have gotten there. I think what we do here, Brazen Borrower is pretty dead in the matchup. I'm going to take the ponder now. I'll probably pitch cast Force with Mockingbird here when they flash back. Just in case they like somehow like do something to my hand, I want to keep the ponder on top. So I'll just take this Delta now and I'll play it out. And then what I'm going to do next turn is I'm going to brainstorm and I'm going to put back both the Swamp and the Fatal Push. They're both terrible here. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and do this again because frankly, like Dredge basically asks a question every turn. Do you have a force? And unless you have something to stop them, then they put their graveyard into their, and they just had another one. And that sucks. We're not going to try to brainstorm here. We're just going to hope that they don't hit anything too important. This ponder is an above average draw, so I'm going to take it before we brainstorm because we do need to shuffle away these completely dead cards. And it's not, it may seem like Fatal Push isn't completely dead. Well, we can hit like Satoru. We can hit like, a lot of stuff. Yeah, they got Ox. They didn't find a Dredger, importantly. Bridge from below. So Bowmasters can ping itself. The saddest Bowmaster. Okay, they're kind of close to using this. What is 2 mana? They're just flashing it back again. Breakthrough. They don't have a Dredger. They get to keep a card. This means Cephalid Coliseum is definitely on. Yeah, it resolves. Again, this is par for the course. Like, expect this when you're playing against Dredge. They're just going to fill up their graveyard, and they're almost certainly going to put a Dredger in the yard, but they're going to do that. They're going to draw first. Then Ox comes back next turn, potentially if they find red. Okay, they not only found Dredgers, they found the best Dredgers. And they got a Poxwalkers. So I think the best thing we can do is brainstorm, put back the dead cards, find a wasteland for this Coliseum. Okay, Bowmasters pings itself. Embarrassing, but a play you can make. They do have Otherworldly Gaze, so they can kick that off. They're going to Dredge. I'm trying to envision how we win this. Okay, here's how we win this. We're going to put these back. We're going to shuffle. We're going to go get an Underground Sea. We're going to ponder, and we're going to find one of our Nile Spell Bombs. That's how we're going to win this. That's literally the only path we have to survival. Not victory, but survival. These don't do it. Ha ha ha! Yeah! All right. Sorry, opponent. You thought you were about to win. And they may still claw back into it, but we have significantly crimped their capabilities. And this is why you play Disciplined. Bye-bye. I don't wait. I don't wait for them to Dredge. Like I don't know that there's any benefit to letting them Dredge. But, I mean, they could get like a Narcomoeba in play or something. Hopefully, they probably have like some card that kicks it off again, like another Glimpse or a Faithless Looting. They had a land in hand, probably. Or they have another Breakthrough that's really bad for us. That reloads the graveyard. They do. Oh, no. Draw 4 cards and discard them all. And if they find a freaking... We've already gotten 3 of the trolls. Okay, so there's Satoru. That's what I was saying. You can potentially kill that. They're Faithless Looting. This is just going from bad to worse, but they don't have a Dredger. Okay, they just dumped a bunch of stuff in their yard. Still don't have a Dredger, but they are very close to Coliseuming. So we need to find a wasteland pretty quickly. That doesn't really help. I'm just going to pass, and should they somehow activate Coliseum, at least I can Bowmaster and put some damage on them. Let's go ahead and do this in step. We can just flash in the Borrower to start beating them. I think that's probably better than trying to disrupt whatever it is they try to do here. Okay, Fatal Pushes, terrible cards. Go ahead and swing. No risk. Yeah, no risk with what they're currently presenting. Another Coliseum. They're like so close to being able to activate these. All right, Brazen Borrower's coming in. Strix. See if we can draw to another Card that is impactful here, like another Analysis Bomb. Thoughtseize turns their thing on. I don't think we do it. Also, they could have a Dredger stranded in their hand. Yeah, Thoughtseize is going to come out for sure. Thoughtseize is terrible against them because you can like sometimes like just randomly like they just needed a discard outlet and you gave it to them and like everything in their hand is like a Dredger or something. So they have 2 turns to find what they need. Colosseum does not immediately kill them. Wow, Valk. What are they doing here? 3 mana, 4 mana. Anger. Interesting. Well, it does have haste and can swing in. Buys them a turn, technically. Wait, let's think about this. So we just push it. Then they have freaking Colosseum, but we have a double Bowmaster, so they're dead. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. Oh, we need to somehow turn on Revolt, don't we? Well, I'm just going to hold the Fatal Push, and I'll surprise them with the second Bowmaster, and that will kill them if they activate Colosseum. I've never actually seen a Dredge player play out Anger, and I've played a lot of Dredge. Like I probably played against the deck like 50 to 100 times, and I've never seen somebody actually hardcast an Anger. That is a cool thing that they can do. LED, by all means. They're thinking about whether they can even survive this. What are they doing? Okay, they are doing it. So here's where we dash their dreams. I encourage everyone out there to dash the dreams of a Dredge player. Good games. Or good game, rather. Now, the post-war games, which do get easier, for sure. Because we can bring in Grafdigger's Cage, for sure. Harbinger is not a dead card. Force Negation, absolutely. Hydroblast. Consigned to Memory is not good here. Okay, so Fatal Push come out. Thoughtseize come out. As we established, those are not good cards to have. Exactly 60 cards in the deck. That's a perfect substitution without the Harbinger. Do we want the Harbinger? Daze is kind of like interaction. I don't expect it to be important. We could cut it. Mockingbird really only helps us. This is like the second matchup where Mockingbird's pretty terrible. And it may just be that Mockingbird's not that great, but I do stand by it as like, it's great for fair matchups. Not for fair matchups that involve casting cost 5 or greater cards, and not for Dredge, which is certainly not fair. I do think Harbinger could be good because they really rely on, I don't think it's that spectacular. Like I'd much rather get like a Kaito on the table if we're talking 3 drops. Engineered Explosives, I don't think it's where we want to be. It cleans up a lot of stuff toward the end of the game, but like if you get to that stage, like the key is in this matchup, just don't be afraid. Fear is the mind killer. This is a fear-driven hand. You don't keep no-landers ever. I know Bosch and Roll talks about how in the finals he kept like a hand that didn't have any against some combo deck, and he was able to win. Like, I think that can happen sometimes, but I think usually it results in, yeah. Okay, so here is another trap hand. It doesn't do anything. We force the first thing they do, and then we just sit there and die. No thanks. Another trap hand. This is the hand. We're going to keep 1, 2. Gosh, we have to put back 1 more, right? 3. That's it, right? Okay, good. So we've got Force Protected Grafdigger's Cage. Now, if they have shenanigans, they can just keep recasting it every turn. There's nothing we can do. They have the Mountain for shenanigans. Faithless Looting. So, safe thing to do is to counter this. But if we just cage, then we need to protect cage against, but shenanigans doesn't really stop that. My instinct is to just force this and then cage. All right. And that may seem extreme, but this card shenanigans that everybody's playing, it just totally, it's Dredge. So it just keeps coming back over and over. I'm going to keep my Surveil up. We're going to go ahead and play this now immediately. Our opponent probably has shenanigans in their list, and they may very well have it in their hand. Okay, this is their only land, so we probably stem the tide temporarily. We drew our Surveil, which we did not want to do, but it is what it is. Bowmasters is a threat that can help us close. It's also good against Faithless Looting, good against Breakthrough. I'll keep it. We need to close the game quickly. This is fine. They're going to find a land, and then they'll have shenanigans live. Discard Poxwalkers. They found a second land. All right. I'm going to hope that they don't have shenanigans. If they do, we're in serious trouble. But they haven't put it in their graveyard yet. And I guess Otherworldly Gaze is fine. This doesn't trigger Bowmaster, so I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to get more information. They can't cast cards from their graveyard, so they can't bring these Poxwalkers back. They put a bunch of Dredgers and stuff. I think they're going to start looking for shenanigans. Oh, wait. Did they just take an organic draw? What do they do? There's the shenanigans. Okay, so this sucks really badly. This is precisely what I was scared of. We could have held the force for this, but again, this is Dredge, so they just casted the subsequent turn. They're fetching. Hopefully they do something that we can punish, like a breakthrough or something. Do they have two? They do. So they can dredge both the Stinkweed and the Golgari Grave Troll. I don't think it achieves anything for us to Bowmaster here. I think they're almost certainly just going to dredge twice. They have tons of dredge targets. I think we've lost this game. Shenanigans is a hell of a card. Like, I didn't even know about it until recently because they found some Narcomoebas. So at the very least, we can ping these Narcomoebas. Yeah, I'm almost certain we've lost. We might be able to find our other cage, but again, it's not going to matter. What we need to do is we need to find Nihilus Spellbomb now. Do they have the win already? Because they do have Cabal Therapy, which puts, let's see, how many... okay, I'm going to pop their graveyard out here. They don't have Bridge from Below yet. It's nice because now Bridge from Below, like any enchantment, they do have Dread Return. So if they cast like... Okay, without Bridge, I do think we go ahead and put this in just to ping one of these off the table. They could definitely flip a Bridge next turn, but we just want to reduce their material because this keeps them farther from Dread Return. Like, the way their deck wins is they get creatures, you know, doing stuff and bringing stuff back. I'm going to fetch the Thin. I don't normally advocate for that, but I've been doing it a lot more when I'm looking for a specific card because it does increase the likelihood. We're much more likely to be dead. Like, waiting for a Brainstorm to save us. Okay. This is actually fine. Now they need to find yet another creature, which they can find. They probably have a third Narcomoeba, but we're going to hit them for more now. I have no illusions that we're going to be able to win this, but they have to find a Narcomoeba specifically in their dredge. And now they do have multiple dredge. They can Faithless Looting. They have 2 shenanigans in their list. It's good to know about. So it wasn't aberrational that they found one. Faithless Looting. So they do get Poxwalkers back. They're going to just dredge. So now that they have this, they can just chain these, and this is how you die against Dredge. I'm going to keep playing so you can see how you die against the current version of Dredge, because it's much different than how it used to be. It's not like a glass cannon-y, you know, deck that's playing City of Traders or City of Brass and like Gemstone Cavern and stuff. Like Gemstone Mine, I think is the name of the card that you can tap for any color, and it's got depletion counters or whatever. They're not playing that. So here come the okay, so they get the Poxwalker back and another Poxwalker, and they get a zombie token with haste. And then they can do this again, I believe. Do they have another? They have Dread Return, so they can do this again, and they can get back some other creature. All without drawing cards. Okay, so they discard a couple Stinkweed Imps. They have 18 cards in their deck. I think they... Let's see. Do they not have another Cabal Therapy? Yeah, I think they have to use their Dread Return here. But it's still good. I mean, what are they getting back? And this is why it's hard to be a control player in 2025. Like, frankly, you just have to stop so many different, dramatically different types of attacks. Here they can just dredge the rest of their deck. And then if they have a second Dread Return, they can potentially return the... there's their Narcomoeba. They can return what's-her-face to the battlefield. Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, there she is. So they have 0 cards in their deck. And they have a deterministic win. They just have to Dread Return. And I do believe they have a second Dread Return in here. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah. So they'll just do that. I mean, they could kill us pretty quickly. They don't have Memory Journey or anything. All right. I'm just going to F6 because there's like a ton of triggers going on the stack. But I'm going to show you because this is an important lesson in like how these decks work. And as a control player, it's your job to know every single deck and exactly how it wins. And now they have all these hasty beats, so they don't even need the Thassa's Oracle. They had us killed 2 different directions. Okay. King Dingaling. I will never tire of saying their name. Okay. Okay, so Harbinger wouldn't have been good there. I think we keep the deck the exact same on the play. Shenanigans is good specifically against Grafdigger's Cage. Nalispa Bomb is not as affected by it, but they can like force you to use it basically at inopportune times by targeting it. It's also worth noting that I think they put it on the stack and then you have to like exile so they can just dredge and blow up your next artifact too. Yeah, I think we're going to keep it as is. I mean, I think maybe Thoughtseize is okay on the play, but it's too scary for me. Like, and I like having a higher density of blue cards too. Yeah, I think this is just probably the Thoughtseize would be very marginal here. Okay, so here we have a Tamio open. We don't have anything to do with the Tamio, but she can create clues, and if they dirtle at all, or if we get them into a stall, we can cap. We can capitalize hard on that. I don't think there's any reason to lead with the island. Get our Tom out. Tom. It is pronounced Tamio, by the way, not Tamio. You may hear people say Tamio. That's fine, but she's from the Kamigawa Shard plane, whatever it is called, and they are a Japanese-speaking plane. Faithless Looting. This is a Force of Negation. And here I think we pitch Borrower. Borrower can help us close, but I think there's a possibility that we just keep ripping blue cards and we just keep forcing them over and over. Okay, so always force the Enabler. Do they have an LED? That would be pretty scary. I would definitely have to force that too. They're thinking like they have an LED. Okay, there's the LED. Forcing that too. Sorry. I just cannot countenance. And we're probably still screwed. We're probably still screwed despite the fact that we had a double force hand, unfortunately. And we don't really have a lot of pressure here, but we do have a clock, which just got a little faster. I am going to play out this Strix, I think, rather than cracking the clue. I can crack the clue later. Strix represents some degree of pressure. Next turn, if we find a cantrip, we can potentially flip Tommy. Okay, another Strix. These are not great cards, but they're blue. All right. Now here's where you use your third, enabler. Oh, okay. Well, that's good for us. Shenanigans can blow this up. And dredge for 1. So it does advance the dredging plan. Bowmaster could be live. They don't have any dredgers. I'm just going to end step Bowmaster. I'm not going to play out the Strix because I want to up the clock. I can Strix later. If they do some sort of spell that draws cards like a brain, whatever it's called, breakthrough, I want to punish it. Colosseum. All right, 3 mana on this. Oh, Stinkweed Imp. Yeah, and this is kind of annoying because it has Death Touch. It doesn't say that on it. It's very irritating that it doesn't say Death Touch, but it actually does have Death Touch. And it completely blunts our offensive. All right, so if we kill this somehow, it's actually disadvantageous because then it's in their yard. I'm just going to ping them, and we'll figure out what to do. We've got a lot of card draw ahead of us. If they start attacking, that's fine, but they're just going to keep it back on blocks forever. Okay. All right. We're shy. Gosh, we'd have to draw a land. I'm going to go ahead and Strix. If we draw a land, next turn we can Kaito. If we draw a force, then we have something to do here. That's not a bad card, but it's not a land. So we're just going to chill, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't want to lose anything, and I don't want to turn on Dredge. So this is the perfect card for them to have here. Once we get the second Bowmaster down, this Colosseum becomes prohibitive. But if they just draw up to like 7 cards and discard a Dredger, that's another thing that can get us. Cabal Therapy. They can flash it back. Yeah, and that will get a Dredger in their yard. They're going to probably name Force. I'd be impressed if they name Bowmaster. They'll probably take our Bowmaster. Kaito's actually the most powerful card, but we have to be able to get it into the graveyard. They name Force, which is 90% of the time if you're therapying somebody, Force is the right name, unless you have more context. Okay, and they're opting to just chill instead of flashing it back, which is interesting. Maybe they want to get more cards in their graveyard. Maybe they want to come in for a hug first. If they come in for a hug, it might actually be correct to block just to prevent them from therapying. Oh, interesting. So they're just going to chill for a turn. Okay. Now they know our secret. The best thing we can draw is absolutely Brazen Borrower here, but a land would be fine. Okay, another Tamio doesn't really help us here. I'm tempted to just draw a card, see if we can find a land. What does that do for us? If we find a wasteland, that's good. I'm going to draw. Okay, we found a land. That's good. Now they have to name Kaito. Yeah, I think we chill. And next turn, if for some reason they don't take our Kaito, then we can put Kaito in. Okay. Otherworldly Gaze. This is going to start filling up their yard, and they may find a Dredger. We're not long for this world. This has been a chess match of a game. Like, as whiny as I might sound, like, oh, I got to face this, I got to face this. Every deck you face is going to have some unique way of like ruining your day. That's just how these roll. Okay, and they found another Stinkweed Imp, so they can dredge that. Dredge 5, I believe. And they found Poxwalkers. They found another Dredger. They can Coliseum here. They can just dredge the whole way. Let's see, how many Dredgers they have? One. Just one currently, but they may dredge into other Dredgers and they may not trigger Bowmaster. So I think we've lost, but I'm going to play it out. And this, just being able to card cast this and this being a not atrocious card on its own made all the difference. The fact that they gave it Death Touch made a big difference. Okay, here's the looting. This brings back Poxwalkers. I would love to snipe it, but it probably doesn't matter. Probably just want to go to the life total here. If they draw any cards, they're going to use replacement effects instead. Okay, we did get actually a trigger, which is remarkable. So they whiffed on Dredger's there. That's good for us. If I hit this, they just bring it back when they therapy. I think I just want to hit them. Just reduce their life total. Okay, therapy. They're going to take probably Kaito. They can actually therapy multiple times. No, wait, they only have one therapy. They name Kaito. That's a good name. They knew that. Right. So next turn they can flashback Faithless Looting. So there's no point in really pinging these. They'll just come right back. I mean, the point is you deter their attack for one turn. Force is not a bad rip. Force can not stop these from coming back. My instinct is just to attack with everything and apply damage. And then we can Bowmaster to add additional damage. If they block here, I will ping because they've already got plenty of Dredgers. I just need to inflict maximum damage. They're probably never going to draw another card. The other option is we draw a card and maybe it's something that stops them from getting stuff back from their yard. Let's do that. Another Kaito. So if for some reason, by some miracle, they don't Thoughtseize me next turn, well, I'm going to go ahead and go in with everything. I don't care about this Tamio. I mean, she is a blocker. They're not going to do that much damage next turn, I don't think. They don't have any cards in their graveyard. The real decision is, do we want to swing with Bowmaster? Maybe I would rather have a Clue than have a Tamio. Is that true? There's a decent chance they block with this and they don't have a blocker. These cannot block. No, they can block. Okay, they can block. Okay. So I think we come in with that and maybe we just hold back they'll probably just block Tamio. So we're doing essentially 4 damage. Not nearly enough. But we are getting a Clue. We do not necessarily have the mana to cast the Clue. Is it worth it to do more damage? I think keeping Bowmaster back, so they've got 1, 2, 3. If they block, they'll have 3 Dredgers. 3 Dredge 5. This Golgari Thug is Dredge 4. So 14 worth of dredging. They'll almost certainly find other things they can put in the yard. I think Bowmaster's going in 2. I mean, it does give them the option to just block that. Yeah, I'm going to do everything. And this might be wrong. Leave a comment if there's like some line I'm missing but I think most likely they're just going to chump one of these two. They might chump here to get this off the table. And that leaves me with Tamio for next attack. Okay, interesting. They're choosing to block that because they just want to maximize. So it was correct. This tells me it was correct to attack with everything the way we did. All right. Pass. Force of Will. Can you save us? I don't think you can. Okay, they have a therapy in their yard now. Faithless Looting again. So if we hit this, it slows them down. They can still Cephalid Coliseum though. But, I mean, I think this is a force. Yeah, and maybe this is too aggressive because they can definitely flash us back. but they can't flash it back now. Now they're going to Colosseum. This reduces their mana, so they won't have the mana necessarily to flash it back again. Also worth noting, they're showing shenanigans in their yard. Okay, they found 2 Narcos. So now they have everything they need to be able to kill us. They've got 13 cards left in their deck. I think it's extremely unlikely. Oh, they don't have a Poxwalker or oh, there's the bridge. Okay. So now the bridge is in the yard. So they have basically infinite creatures for the purpose of returning stuff. And I don't think we can win anymore, sadly. We put up a fight, but the shenanigans innovation is too powerful because it basically means that mulling like we did game 2, where we mulled the 4 and we found precisely the hand we needed. It means that basically that's not a good strategy. Like you can't safely just mull to a card that used to solo them like Grafdigger's Cage. One thing I will say is this is vindicating of putting the Force of Negation in the yard. I went up to all the way up to 3 Force Negations because the only matches I've been losing with this deck have been against just like pure combo. They can also take this. We have no hope. I'm going to let them play it out though. It's worth noting that if we do flip Tamio and Plusser, they're bringing back Ox, which will dump the rest of their graveyard. Yeah, I'll just narrate as they play. Just again, if you haven't seen the newest version of Dredge. So it came in second at like a major, at the biggest event, the Showcase Challenge, the biggest tournament of the quarter, basically. This was second place, I think. It was like tied for first. I think they like split the 0 cards left, and now they just have their, unless they have, which if they had Thassa's Oracle, they would have discarded it through the many opportunities they had. So Thassa's coming back, and GG's. All right, let's go to the next one. 1-1. Just a quick thought. There is potentially an argument for playing just 1 Grafdigger's Cage and playing 2 Nile Spellbombs, seeing that, shenanigans. Like a lot of people are going to be playing Dredge because this is a good deck. I mean, Nile Spellbomb's a lot better against it than Grafdigger's Cage is. Grafdigger's Cage feels like a more permanent answer, but it's actually like more brittle because they can just remove it at their convenience and then go off. Whereas Nile Spellbomb, at least you're getting something done on the way through. So I'm seriously considering just changing the sideboard slightly to have a 3rd Nile Spellbomb on the side instead of having the extra Grafdigger's Cage. Grafdigger's Cage is one of those cards that, you only need 1 and there's no benefit to having a second in play. So it makes sense to have it as a 1-of. Also, Green Sun Zenith Nadu, which is one of the reasons that you want to have Grafdigger's Cage over Nile Spellbomb, that's fallen off quite a bit. I haven't encountered any Nadu decks in a while. Certainly not the the Court of Calling style ones. I still encounter Breakfast occasionally, but that's not a bad matchup, I don't think. Round 3, we're up against a likely blue-black tempo player. I like this hand. I don't like the fact that we only have Underground Sea as our colored mana source, but I'm going to keep this, and we can just ponder. We're not sure that they're on that, and Force might be good if they've changed decks. Again, like, it's hard to throw back hands that have mana and have Force against an unknown opponent. There's the Thoughtseize. Okay, they took Tamio. Interesting. Well, they know the contents of our hands, so they know that we're weak to Wasteland. So even if we draw a land, I'm kind of tempted to just bait. I am going to go ahead and ponder here. And hopefully they don't daze this and then waste us. That'd be catastrophic. Okay, found another land. These are all fine cards. Brazen Borrower is good if they are on the Murktide variant, which they probably are because I think I'm the only person who's forsaken Murktide. Yeah, I think just in case they Thoughtseize us, I am going to put this Delta on top. Minimize the options that they'll have. Brainstorm's a good rip. I don't mind them wasting too much. They are lower to the ground than us. We're not going to be wasting them probably. I just don't think there's any tactical value to wasting them when they play Days and stuff. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to force speculating that they might be on one land because a lot of times that is a bluff that your opponents can do. Bowmaster Supremacy is going to be very important in this matchup. Okay, I think I am going to attempt to Strix next turn. Second Underground Sea. They're filling up their yard really quickly, which makes me think they may have a Merc. It may make sense to just go ahead and Spellbomb them now so we don't have to worry about Merc next turn. We do have Brazen Borrower, which answers the first Merc, though. I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to Borrower while the borrowing's good. We don't have any other black cards in our deck, so I'm going to just go ahead and get an island here, and I'm cool with not having the... all these cards are fine. None of these cards are embarrassing. They'll probably daze this. If they don't daze it, it's pretty good against them. Okay, it's in. That's great for us. All right, and we've got double force, which we'll use to fight against Bowmaster, because Bowmaster is going to completely wreck our hand. There's the Bowmaster. Let's force. I am going to pitch Borrower, and then what I'll plan to do is I will plan to just now spellbound them so that they don't get Merc. Okay, that's great. I am totally fine with that exchange. Even though it was a 2-for-1, we stopped the most devastating card against us. We found a Bowmaster of our own, which is phenomenal. I think the correct thing to do is just to go ahead and let's just spellbomb them. And I'll hold up Island just in case they attempt to. Yeah, I just don't want to have to deal with Murktide here. And it's fine, just managing their graveyard. All right, another force. Not the best card, but it's not bad. I'm not going to complain about it. We could go ahead and brainstorm now. We haven't made we did make a land drop. Brainstorming now does give us, I'll just chill. I'm going to pitch force for sure. Next chance I get to stop something. Oh, I should have attacked there. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, my excellent friends. That was a misdamage. Okay, and I think it's important to just keep this off the table. Yeah, I'm going to do it. And then if they force back, that's fine because we have our own Bowmaster. But like we're drawing a Kaito, and I like having a card on the table. We have 3 Kaitos. Okay, this is a path to a swamp. I'm going to brainstorm first. Okay, there's Kaito. So we've got Kaito now. This is great. I'm going to put back... Gosh, it sucks to put any of these back, but I think we do put back Strix here. Swamp. Yeah, I mean, that was like, all those cards were insane, but having Kaito on the table attacking, more insane. They could have like Shoot the Sheriff or something here. Shoot the Sheriff won't work. They have to specifically like bounce this out of play or kill it with damage. And just like that, we're in a pretty strong position. I'm going to go ahead and surveil while we can. Okay, these are both good cards. Backup Kaito's fine. I think I definitely want to keep every Bowmaster I can. I think that card's going to be very important in this matchup. We've got a backup Kaito. We can Kaito into Kaito, so you can like stun, you can attack, and then you can Kaito, and then you can do a second ability. Fine. They haven't played a land in a few turns. I'm kind of tempted to just go ahead and waste them here. Let's see what we draw. We draw like another land. I think it'll be fine. Let's Thoughtseize them. See what they have. And then we can waste if we need to. Okay, they have their own Kaito. They've got triple Fatal Push. Go for the Throat. I think we just take the Kaito because everything else is just generic. Like, we will get Kaito into play. We're just going to have to Bowmaster repeatedly to do it. Yeah, I think this is fine, and I am going to waste them. If they draw a waste and they draw like a series of dazes, that'll be bad for us. They're just reluctant to give us value off of this. But they have to now because they know that we have Kaito. All right, and it doesn't look like they drew a land. So their hand is 2 Fatal Pushes and a Go for the Throat. Draw our own Fatal Push. I'm just going to pass. We can Bowmaster Instep. And they may tap out. Okay, they drew a Wasteland. So they could have drawn a Bowmaster. If they Bowmaster, I can just push. And they won't have anything available to stop my Kaito from coming back in. Yeah, this is unfortunate, but it happens. Okay. So we do get a token. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to attack for this token and see if they block. And then I can Bowmaster. The other thing to do is I could just be aggressive here. And just take out the Bowmaster now. I mean, the more mana efficient thing is to just untap Bowmaster, pass. And then we have the Fatal Push for the second one. I think it's fine. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be more conservative. They tap their Wasteland, which means I have a little extra time. Land would be great. Land it is. Come in for a hug. See how they block. All right. And now we're just going to black, blue, Bowmaster. This is brutal. Yep. And they scoop. Okay. Wow. Bowmaster bullying. Putting those 2 Baleful Strix back felt bad, but it was correct, I think. And I think it's proven out to be correct. And the fact that we had our own Kaito waiting in the wings, yeah, that felt good. Okay, so in this matchup, we don't really board anything. There's nothing to board. Yeah, I think we just run it back. All right, and I'm not sure who's favored here. I think they're favored because we have a bunch of Strix in our deck, and they don't have to worry about worrying about Bowmaster Supremacy the same way we do. I'm going to keep this hand, though. There's a Tamio. We will be able to eventually take care of Tamio here with our Strix. I'm just going to fetch basics. I just don't want to have to worry about them later. Maybe it makes sense to... the sooner... I think we probably could have played our own Tamio since we had a redundant one. I think that was a punt. I should have played it. That's a gnarly looking swamp. Okay, they didn't play a Wasteland. I'm going to go ahead and do this. We have plenty of land. I do want to dig for action. If I can find like a Bowmasters, that's the best card in our deck here. Or, even a Fatal Push. Borrower is an answer to them flipping her if they do something. They have their mana up, so I can't in good conscience just like fire something off there. They could absolutely just freaking Bowmaster this and I have no recourse. I think I'm just going to play this out and we can at the very least block here. But if they just push this and then Kaito, we're like in a really rough place. You could argue that I should have played Wasteland out and just wasted them to keep them off Kaito. It's one of the few things that we've got going for us is the possibility of them not having a lot of mana, but they definitely have the initiative here. We're definitely on our back foot. You always block here. I don't actually think there's any way, but I don't think it hurts to block. Like paranoia, basically. You never know. They could have like Spirit Guide. Okay. So this is a Nethergoyf. Yep, the world's smallest Nethergoyf is fine. No merit to me fetching here. I'll just chill and see what I draw. Okay, Strix is great. However, again, I am confident that I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to waste one of their lands, and then after they float, then I can play the Strix. And at the very least, Strix comes into play without dying on arrival. Okay, let's go to combat here. Okay, now we've burned that off. We still have to worry about days, but that's not as bad as Bowmaster. I will go ahead and start playing on basics, just working toward them. We've got plenty of other options, but let's go ahead and do this. Just as a blocker, if they daze this, that's totally fine. That'll set them back a land. All right, it's in. They'll probably just poke it next turn. Oh, Fatal Push is great. This is a very good card. Now Spellbomb, or Nethergoyf can keep coming back, so it's not like it's a lock, but it feels nice. This addresses almost every threat in their deck. So here's the Bowmasters that we expected. That's fine. We don't have Bowmaster Supremacy anymore. You can take that out. Okay. They get their clue. They're very far ahead. Brainstorm. This flips Tamio. I have Borrower. If they don't have Force, then that kind of addresses that. We may have to give them a turn with Tamio, which may involve them regrowing like a Brainstorm or something. So we're taking 2 here. I definitely don't want to have to push Bowmasters. I'd like to Bowmaster their Bowmaster. Okay, Strix is not a helpful draw. I think what we do, sadly, is I want to keep this around just in case we need to brainstorm stuff away later. I'm going to start by pushing here. We just have to get rid of this. This gives them a creature type. Now I'm going to attempt to draw. I'm not sure really what I'm looking for. Like Kaito would be fine. Okay, Brainstorm's fine, assuming they don't have a follow-up. We'll get our clue, and we'll pass. I will block Nethergoyf if they swing in. I think they're probably going to regrow their Brainstorm here. They may just keep going north, which is fine. But then we need to make sure we have a force to ensure that our Brazen Borrower resolves. Going up with Tamio. Land drop. They have had no shortage of lands. I do think that Wasteland play was correct, just to ensure that we could get Baleful Strix around what ultimately did end up being a Bowmaster. They have tons of mana to crack clues. We will be able to eventually crack our clues too. They're trying to decide whether... Okay, and this makes it easy for them. They have Bowmaster Supremacy again. So again, I do believe that they're favored because they don't have a bunch of cards like Baleful Strix in their deck that are terrible against an active Bowmaster. So now we really don't have a choice, in my humble opinion. Like, yeah, that doesn't change anything really. Like, this has to go, and then we have to draw a Bowmaster. Force is the draw that we need. We could wait a turn to bounce this. I think I'm going to go for it now. Every turn we wait is a turn that they could. And then we may have to brainstorm into the Bowmaster to try to find a force if they stop this. All right, lost a lot of clock due to a coughing fit. We did successfully resolve our Brazen Borrower here. Let's go ahead and play out a Tamio. And during our opponent's turn, technically we can brainstorm and flip her if we need to save her. But that's not really what you want to do. A smart opponent will just target you instead of targeting Tamio because Tamio will flip before. And I'm going to give our opponent that much credit. So I don't want to lose Tamio to this, but I can definitely block this. I suspect they may have Kaito here. And that would just be, you know, the nth nail in our coffin in this game. They really have our number this game. And I think we can concede. What are they doing? Yeah, this is Kaito. Okay, so let's go to game 3. This is probably like a 48%, 52%. Like I think it's pretty close. But again, the Strixen they are a disadvantage to us. The fact that they play days is probably a disadvantage to them. And they may be taking those out. We don't have any sideboard substitution to make against them. Okay, so this is a pretty good hand. We just need to island, ponder, and final land. I don't want them to Thoughtseize or ponder, so I'm going to go ahead and island ponder now like a coward. But 3 Bowmasters, I mean, that's pretty important. Island, ponder. This is what we wanted to see. We can take the force now, just in case. I'm trying to think of what we would even force. I mean, we could force like a Tamio. We don't have a clear... Well, Belfast Strix answers that. Yeah, we have everything covered here. I guess I don't really want to draw this force at all. So we'll just shuffle it away when we go get our swamp. And then next turn, we can just now spell bomb, you know, and hold this up and just be patient and play around days. But I will fetch the swamp to shuffle the force away. Because again, I think force is not where we want to be in this matchup. They don't have that many scary cards. Their cards are all just incremental advantage cards. Nethergoyf, it's fine. It's probably not going to go the distance, but it is a good card for sure. I think I am going to go ahead and Strix here because it stops Nethergoyf temporarily. It draws us deeper into our deck. Gets days. That's not the end of the world. Okay, we're in. All right, Kaito, rock on. And with Kaito, we're definitely still going to block if they attack. I think it's correct. They can keep bringing this back, so it's not that bad for them to just remove material from the table, especially because we're on the play and we can be the first to get Kaito on the table. They're immediately brainstorming Tamio. That's fine. Okay, so Tamio flips. If we attack with Strix and we get Kaito onto the table, which we just need a land for, it's pretty good. So I'm not going to block here because we do damage to Tamio and then we stun this. Yeah, that would be great. Rewarded. Absolutely rewarded. Let's go ahead and attack Tamio. This is precisely what we needed to happen for us. Okay, we go to block. Our opponent should know what's about to happen. Well, I decided not to play around 1 off Kaito. F me, I think, or damn me. We'll be generous and say that. Okay, so it's not a 1 off, it's a 3 off. We always have it. All right, this feels good. So we'll take our Strix back where it can generate some value. We'll deal 3 damage. We'll stun the Goyf. Next turn, we could potentially Spellbomb and Ping. So you put the damage on the Nethergoyf, then you just Spellbomb. I got 6 cards in hand. We're not out of the woods by any means. There's another Goyf. Okay. If we draw a land, that'll be so good because I really do want to be able to just get rid of this. It is really bad if they have a daze. Here's what I think we do. I think we Bowmaster this, and then we play the Spellbomb, and they have to have a daze or a force. And then we'll still have a blocker either way. Let's do it. Spellbomb comes in. If you have daze, it does cost us a card, but it gets rid of their creature. Now we plus, and we can kill Tamio. Okay, they're going to do something here. It's going to be a Bowmaster. Surveil. Just put something in the yard. Okay, they bend to Thoughtseize. This has just been an amazing game, like in terms of like everything working out and me seeing the lines, not to compliment myself too much, but we're diffusing the tempo deck. This feels great. And I love playing against this deck. I love playing this deck. Before this deck, this was my favorite deck to play. I mean, before this, Kaito Control deck. They are pushing here, which is fine. That's, we just got a 2-for-1 island. They have filled up their yard very quickly. They've got 4 types. They could mark here. Excellent. Bringing out another wave. Fine, I'm just going to ping him. Our opponent is going to be even more tilted after they see what we do to them now. Yeah, my opponent said, anyway, needed brainstorm as hand was only lands and force. Great games. Very exciting. Good luck in the next rounds. Let's jump to round 4. We're 2-1. All right, we're up against Rapid Lewis 08. Very fast player, if the name is anything to go by. All right, likely on Eldrazi. This will be fun because we have, or freaking Reanimator, one of these two. Yeah, probably on Reanimator. This is a great anti-Reanimator hand. It's not good against Eldrazi, but it's good against Reanimator. I'm going to keep it on the strength of it being really good against Reanimator and hope that they're not on Eldrazi. They're mulling to 6. I mean, if they're on freaking Reanimator, this is the best game 1 hand you can imagine. Like 3 points of interaction, 4 really. So strategy is going to be Surveil, find a second land, Strix, find a third land, Kaito, end the game. They're mulling to 5. I don't think they're on Eldrazi. All right, so options. They might invest resources if we give them an opportunity to... and I do want to find another land. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to chill for a turn on this Nullspell Bomb. If they like Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, and then they see my hand and they just scoop, that'll be fantastic. I don't think they're realistically going to fight through all this if they're Reanimator, though. And this is a Reanimator opening. Duress is going to take Nile Spellbomb. I could just daze this. I don't want them to hit the Nile Spellbomb because it's like a 1-for-1, or it's even more than that. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get an Underground Sea here, and I'll daze it. Because we don't have a land drop for next turn anyway. And if they I don't know how they would force this through, but they're clearly doing something to generate if they're duressing. You would always play Thoughtseize otherwise. Because it's just a much more flexible card for longer games. You only play Duress. Oh, okay, that's good. Let's Thoughtseize them. Because I'm not certain that they could be on Doomsday. Okay, this is what they're on. All right. So the clear take here is the Reanimate. And I'm glad that I did daze that because they had the pedal that they just refused to play out for some reason. And now they need to somehow get something into the yard and find a reanimation effect. Right? Land was land their draw for turn? Yes, it was. Okay. So we have perfect information. We just look for a land to Strix. And you might be saying hey, you should take a turn to drop the spell bomb. And I certainly will, but I just want to, yeah, there we go. Another force effect. What's going to suck is if they Cabal Therapy, because they'll almost certainly name force and we'll have to force it. Okay, nothing. So now we can Null Spellbomb if we don't draw a land. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and drop this first. I can go ahead and drop the Tamio. It's not a problem to drop it. We still got double force up against one unknown. This was an incredible hand, and I'm glad that I noticed that they switched to Reanimator today. Or 2 days ago. Because if I had mulliganed that and they were on Reanimator, I would have felt pretty silly. Okay, Undercity Sewers. Let's go ahead and do this first. This will give us Kaito next turn. Brazen Borrower is a blue card for force. It's an above average draw. Let's attack. We can draw it off of the clue. Which we can do, later. We don't need to do it now. Just in case we need mana for something. I can't imagine what that would be. They have tons of mana. I mean, they're practically hardcast Gristlebrand mana. Okay, there's our Borrower. Now we're going to Kaito, and the game should end pretty quickly. I'll play a land too. I'm going to bring the Strix back to hand, and I can't flip Tamio. Oh, actually, yeah, I can't flip Tamio this turn. Go to blocks. This is just completely destroying our opponent. If they saw our hand, if they were able to do us, they would probably scoop. Let's go ahead and just surveil. You can never have too many forces. These cards are both excellent. flip Tamio right now. I don't see a reason not to. There's no advantage to putting that in our graveyard. We don't use our graveyard for anything in this deck. So I'll just draw this, and then I'm just going to go ahead and brainstorm and flip Tommy. I will get an island just in case, like, out of respect for the extremely unlikely chance that they have a main deck. Okay, this is another Nile Spell Bomb. We'll put back the Bowmaster. It doesn't matter. We'll put back the Spell Bomb just to keep it safe from Duras. That way we can actually let Duras resolve, and we have plenty of additional options. There's no way we're losing this game. We're like 100% to win this game, like 99.99. But just because you're 99.99 doesn't mean it's a lock, and you can still screw it up. To quote the Canadian astronaut, Canada not, I'm not sure if they're called astronauts, they're not from the US. The Russians are called cosmonauts. Chris Hatfield, I think is his name. He says, there is no situation that you cannot somehow make worse. Take a gander. Look at this glorious hand. You are not getting through this. All right. Thanks for saving us some time. All right, let's go to... So, again, I don't want to get cocky. Got a lot of... I did lose to this very deck in the previous league. Not to give a spoiler, but you should go back and watch those. Yeah, this exact deck, basically. So we're bringing in lots of counter magic. I think Mockingbird is pretty weak. I cut a Bowmaster as well, and then I cut all our Fatal Pushes. Actually, last time what we lost to was a Shieldred, but I'm not going to keep Fatal Push in for the contingency that they get a Shieldred on the top table. I'm going to try to stop the Shieldred. There isn't really anything else that logically, like, obviously needs to be cut. I think Kaito number 2 can come out. They're not going to be able to deal with the first one. I don't think Bowmasters is bad here. It doesn't pitch to force is the main thing, and you want to max the cards that pitch to force. I think taking out a Wasteland is perfectly fine, though, so I'll do that. So we did reduce our land total, but it shouldn't matter. Wasting them doesn't really matter ever. It's extremely rare that Wasteland's good. All right. His hand doesn't have turn 0 interaction, I think, is a ship. I think you always mull to turn 0 interaction, and you also hope to have, some sort of graveyard interaction. This is a great hand, but it's not. This is what I'm talking about. This is how you roll. Yeah. All right, so we're going to put back Borrower, I think, makes the most sense. Borrower is our only answer to a quick Shieldred, and Shieldred can ignore the graveyard, and they're probably playing it. However, Tamio does draw us into other stuff. And we only have 1 mana, so I think Tamio will be important to establishing, like, closing out the game. So I am going to put back Borrower, and we're going to find it later if we need it. Hopefully this doesn't cause me to lose. All right. All right, no plays. I like it. I think the right thing to do is to just Thoughtseize. They could Entomb. I think I'm just going to play the Spell Bomb. Now we have Force. Like, they would have to have specifically a whole lot of fast mana and a Shieldred here to be able to win this. Like, not win, but, like, get us into a corner this turn. All right, are they going to move? Please don't move. Dark Rit. Thoughtseize. That is going to resolve. I'm glad I played out the Spell Bomb. I would have had to take their Thoughtseize. That's not an enviable position. Thoughtseizing your combo player opponent and taking their Thoughtseize. That's never... They may take our Force, which means that they will have to get the creature out immediately. But if they get the creature out immediately, we don't have counterplay, because we did intentionally make the decision of putting Brazen Borrower back. And yeah, we had to find it. The problem with Shieldred is the reason why she's strong against our deck is because, like, so many things in our deck draw cards, and we're just incidentally kind of like drawing cards as we just go about our business, because that's how we win, is we amass cards. We're a control deck, and you have to have a certain density of cards to be able to successfully control your opponent, who's just like 1 for 2ing you every turn. Definitely looking forward to resolving this Thoughtseize. I probably have to resolve a Ponder, though, instead first, and then hopefully find a land and then Thoughtseize. They did take our Thoughtseize, so I think that they are going on the Shieldred plan. I'm not sure how they're going to outmuscle this Force of Will, but they're still playing the game. Oh, what a bug. Well, we're going to Ponder first. It's just the nuts, the absolute freaking nuts. Okay, I'm going to take this Underground Sea, and I'm just going to know that we have the nuts on top, and I'm going to Thoughtseize them, because they did not want me Thoughtseizing them last turn. So let's make things uncomfortable for them. All right. They have Chain of Smog combo. We just take the Witherbloom, and Chain of Smog is a terrible card that is embarrassingly bad. They did have a combo though, so it's good to know about. But we have the combo covered. Chain of Smog, Witherbloom. It's always embarrassing to die to that because it feels so janky. This card sucks. And Chain of Smog, of course, like discarding your own hand. You wait for them to discard their entire hand, and then you just force, and they just went Hellbent for nothing. If they attempt to reanimate Witherbloom Apprentice, I will Spellbomb. Okay. So we're going to pass. So they've been able to get a lot of card selection. The game that I lost in the previous league, my opponent was able to use this to get something good in their graveyard. I'm just going to hit their graveyard. That is fine. So we've countered that. They can still Chain of Smog us, which will be annoying, but we'll have a lot of good stuff on the table. I think I'm going to go ahead and just play this out, dash their dreams of ever reanimating anything. And then I'm going to play this out, and they may Chain of Smog us, in which case I just discard these cards, but we have Grafdigger's Cage out at least. Blue, let's draw Bartomeo. And there is like a very small possibility that they could have like some combination of cards, because they do have one unknown card. So it could be like another land, and then the Lotus Petal, and then they naturally rip the other Witherbloom command, or Witherbloom Apprentice, and we lose. That is a possibility. They would need to remove our force before they could do that. Next turn we have Tomeo Clue into Tomeo Flip. We'll have Force Pitch Force. I'm getting so much MTGO lag. Hopefully they fix the lag issue. It keeps getting really better, and then it gets bad again. And I think it's probably just like server load or something. I don't know. Maybe they pushed a lot of features. And compliment to Daybreak for trying to maintain this behemoth of an app. I can only imagine all the like card logic and stuff in there. Like Magic the Gathering is by far the most complicated game on earth. There may be something more complicated than that, but I'm struggling to imagine what it is. I mean, in terms of sheer complexity of possibility of games and stuff, like the combinatorialism or whatever it's called, is just staggering because you have so many different deck variations. Okay, so they are going to do a whole bunch of damage to themselves probably, or they'll just immediately find the card they're looking for, which seems like it's very common that my opponent just does this and they immediately find what they're looking for. I think they're probably going for Witherbloom, and then we'll be able to force that. They only have 3 more Witherblooms in their deck, and that would make sense to be naming Witherbloom here. I bet this person is playing the exact same list that did really well in the Showcase Challenge, because maybe it's not, but like the number of non-blue-black Reanimator decks that I've faced lately, it went from like 0, like nobody's playing this deck except Magic Dads, who, you know, is like the ultimate stand for non-blue Reanimator. It went from that to like playing it twice in the same morning. So yeah, whenever there's an exciting new list that does well, you need to like stay on top of what lists are doing well, because people will pivot to them, especially like mercenary players like me that are constantly changing different decks and stuff, and not just standing a single deck like Magic Dads or Winger Zero FNC, I think is the name of the player that, you know, stubbornly insists on playing. Okay, they did find the Witherbloom Apprentice. That would be a problem if we didn't have a Force of Will, and it may still be a problem. They're at 4. How do we do 4 damage to them? Well, we're going to start by just attacking. Oh man, I could lose this. If they have they have the Petal, so if they have some form of interaction, so their hand is currently Chain of Smog and Witherbloom and a Petal and a what's he called? All right, so I'm going to crack this clue. They Dark Writ. That's fine. They do have the mana to do both in the same turn cycle, but they don't have the mana. If I just force this, they'll just Chain of Smog me. So I'm going to lose this anyway. There's nothing in their hand that matters if the Chain of Smog resolves, and I'm dead to subsequent Chain of Smogs. I think it is correct to just force this. Well, no, we don't draw a card, because then they'll smog it away. So I'll draw a card after this, but I am going down to like nothing in hand. And this 2 mana probably just burns off unless they have something exceptional. Okay. And now we can draw a card in our end step. Looking for Kaito or like a Bowmaster. Oh, Baleful Strix is not bad. Thoughtseize is not good. I'm going to keep that and maybe they'll just get that out of my hand for me. Let's see if we draw a land here. Wasteland wouldn't be terrible. Okay, let's scoop. Got it. 2-0'd it. All right, we're 3-1 going into the final round, losing only to King Dingaling on Dredge. Final round, we're up against a likely Karnforge player, but we can't keep this hand. Like, this may be okay against Karnforge, but I have a standing policy. I never keep hands that don't have colored mana. This is much better. So I think we just put back the Fatal Push. We have Surveil to find stuff, or we can just open with a Tamio, depending on how they open. Okay, yeah, Karnforge. Voltaic Key right off the bat. So we could probably take for granted that they're going to just have perfect mana. We drew the best card we could draw, basically, here. I think we just Underground Sea, Tamio, get that cooking. I don't like wasting Urza Saga because they don't always have the Planar Nexus. But if they do, then, you know, you just gave them 4 mana. But like this key represents a ton of mana anyway. So this matchup gets a little bit better after sideboard with all the counter magic we bring in. But it's not a great matchup because we don't end the game quickly. Oh, this is great. Yeah, I'm glad that I didn't waste there because I'm going to definitely want to waste that instead. Still got 5 cards in hand. Petals fine. Dump all your cheap, mediocre things out. So if we hit this, this is potentially like a ton of mana for them because they already have the key. I think this is a force. And then I'm hoping that like maybe they just don't have enough mana and we get a few turns where we can like kind of be in Dirtle mode, which favors us. I mean, eventually it favors them because they draw like just insane cards and stuff. But Dirtle mode currently favors us because we have Tamio. We do have to take this out immediately. I think it's probably actually correct to go ahead and brainstorm and flip Tamio after combat. And I shouldn't have even played that out just in case we drew something even more important. But I think taking out Urza Saga easily the important thing to do here. Yeah, we'll see what we draw off this brainstorm. Looking for land. Want to put this Fatal Push back forever. We got a second Fatal Push. Yeah, it sucks. We'll shuffle away one of them. All right, and next turn we can start rebuying forces, which isn't bad. If they totally dirtle out and dud, then we can potentially go upstairs with Tamio. I don't think they have anything to remove her. Yeah, actually, I think we're just going to keep going up. Okay, so we draw a bad card. I do want to ponder here. Ponder shuffles anyway. And alternatively, I could just fetch and clue and maybe find a force. What are we doing here? Well, I'm going to plus. I feel like not pondering here would be a mistake because we could find like a force. We can keep one of these cards and then we can shuffle away. We can even surveil if we need to. Borrower's not terrible. Land number 3 gives us Kaito, but we don't have a way to play out Kaito. I think we're going to draw our entire deck anyway. I think I'm in any order shuffle this. Do I want any of these cards? I mean, you could argue that the land is good because we might find something to enable Kaito, but the game might functionally end before that. I really want to just find a force. All right, that's not great, but it's not bad. We were going to do that anyway. Okay, so we'll have Surveil here. I'm trying to think if there's anything they can do to stop this. Thankfully, Cake Command, like Planeswalkers are like the one thing that Cake Command can't hit. Okay, that's fine. All right, so let's Surveil land. I consider us very lucky. They just had a mediocre hand that didn't line up. Like it would have been really good, but it's not good when they don't get their monolith into play. Okay, so I think we start with a brainstorm here because we might be able to shuffle this away. I don't necessarily need this land. I'd rather find a fetch. Okay. Strix is good because it gives us Kaito next turn. I'm going to put this back forever. Put back Mockingbird for now. We'll redraw it. Actually, we're going to redraw all those cards. Strix, draw trigger. They have something that can Cake Command now. Plus, I think this is better. Like just being assertive like this is better than regrowing a force, even though we have a hand that would be very well disposed to just regrowing force. Like the prospect of ending the game immediately is a good one. They would need to do something exceptional this turn. Okay, Planar Nexus gives them a lot of mana. Doesn't give them like Karn for, so Mycosynth Lattice. Doesn't give them that amount of mana. I'm trying to think of other huge things they could do. They have essentially 5 mana. But if they have Basalt Monolith or anything else like that, then they can go a lot higher in mana. But I'm optimistic that like we Tamio and we draw probably enough forces to stave off subsequent plays. There's the Karn. Okay, they're going to go get something. Pithing Needle, Portable Hole. That does it. That does it. All right. We got a ball game. All right, so I can get rid of that later. Bouncing it to hand, just they can recast it, so it's not that great. All right, I'm just going to Kaito them and kill their Karn. Then I'll surveil. Let's go ahead and do this. Black, blue, blue. Kaito. Karn down. Let's dig for a force. Oh, there we go. A second Kaito. Do we need it? We can Kaito into Kaito so we can draw extra cards. Not convinced we really need it, but what are we? Yeah, I'm going to put it in a graveyard because I think finding extra forces. The only way we're going to find forces is digging aggressively. So we'll draw that. I didn't get to draw it. No, I screwed up. Now there's a window where they could do something because we didn't get to draw the card. I should have plussed. That was bad. Fleshy Raker. This is not a big deal. We have a push. We can crack a clue and then push. Pithing Needle. This is potentially problematic. They can name Kaito, but we still can swing with it. It's just that it only does 3 damage now. Yeah, I mean, just like that, like what seemed like an unassailable plan has been chipped away at. Do they have anything more? Okay. All right, so we are drawing force. So let's go ahead and crack this clue. Okay, now let's Fatal Push. And now let's just attack. Measly 3 damage. But we have a lot of interaction. Like we can Baleful Strix and then we can copy it and we can just build like a lot of Strixen. They do have tons of mana though. One ring cannot be permitted. Let's pitch Mockingbird probably. Because that's like 2 turns away. We have to get the Strix in play and then we have to. So I'm definitely glad we got that force. My goodness. Can you imagine how bad it would be if we didn't have access to that and they got one ring with 2 of these on? We would lose for sure. So we may still lose, but we're not going to lose immediately. They are kind of low on mana. And if we can find Wastelands, those are good. I'll definitely waste the Planar Nexus. All right. And they haven't played a land in a few turns. So I think Wasteland's a great rip if we can find it. All right. I'm going to start by brainstorming. Just in case I can find like a way to bounce that out of play for a turn. I think it'd be worth it because I'd be able to use Kaito. Okay. Thoughtseize is good. So I'm going to put this Swamp back. It's the least useful. I think Fatal Push is also pretty bad. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize first. They have spells. Just not clear what they are. Well, they've got insane spells. Okay, so Mystic Forge is even worse than Kozilek's Command in terms of like just completely screwing us. They can create a bunch of things, but it's not like, yeah, we have to take it the Mystic Forge here. Kozilek's Command is bad. Don't get me wrong. Okay, so I'm kind of tempted to just ponder rather than play out the Strix to maximize the likelihood that we find a force because I don't want to deal with K-Command. Spellbomb doesn't do anything. These are fine cards. There's nothing wrong with them, but I think we shuffle. All right, there we go. We need it now. They have nothing in hand, and they're living off the top of their deck. All right, and we can come in for a hug. For 3. It's a very slow clock, but you have to control these players. Next turn, we've got Strix into hopefully something. If at any point we can bounce this out of play, we can get a card off of it, and then we can, attack again. I mean, any card they draw could be a bomb. They could just draw one ring right now. We need to find Wasteland stat. They're not playing anything. I don't know what they could have drawn. It could be another K command. Okay, let's go ahead and Strix. It'll suck if they do have like a K command and they can hit our Strix. I'm trying to think of what else they would hold. Wasteland, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and just, I'm not going to wait around. I'm just going to hit it. They can technically just create a bunch of spawns and block forever. Okay. So now they need to draw a lot of things to win. So we may be able to get there just doing damage to them repeatedly. They're on a 3-turn clock, assuming they don't do any damage to themselves. Okay, there's a Saga. This is problematic. We can push one of the constructs. They can make the construct really big and really unblockable too. So this fatal push is actually like pretty important here. All right. Yeah, I think I attack with everything. And then we just have to push one of the constructs. It's going to be tough to get over the line here. And they also have a chump block. They want to use it. What can this Urza Saga get? Okay, they are opting to block, which is fine. Restricting their mana is not a problem. They actually don't have enough mana to create a construct currently. The question is, do I want to play out this Delta? I don't think there's a problem with playing it out just in case we rip a Wasteland and we need the mana. Like, we could have some big epic turn where we bounce this and do a whole bunch of stuff. All right. Do they have a land? Oromox or... Yeah, they do have a land. Okay, and this generates 3 mana. It's like a huge swing in mana. So this is a problem because they can't one-shot us, but they can do some serious damage to us here. That's not what we wanted to see. Not at all. So I'm going to attack. They're going to create the construct. We will kill it, and then we have to figure out what to do. Tons of mana. Your construct is live, and now we are going to use our sole remaining card that does anything to push it out of the way so we can get 4 damage, so drop you to 6. Oh, man, this Pithing Needle has done some serious work. Yeah, and who knows what kind of scary thing they're going to get in addition to making another gigantic construct. We need a Brazen Borrower pretty badly to clear the path, and even then, it's going to take 2 turn cycles to kill them. Brazen Borrower is absolutely the best draw in our deck, though, and I'm not going to fetch the Thin because if we can... Well, Brainstorm would be the best draw in our deck. Okay, it's 5/5 currently. It'll be 6/6 in a second. If they have the Lava Spur Boots, they can kill Kaito. They have this Candy Trail card. Allows them to gain life, which is actually kind of annoying. And it lets them fix their next couple draws. Let's see how many they scry to the bottom. Yeah, we've done so much damage to ourselves. I think we've thought these 3 times. Okay, they scried both of those. That's good. You always want your opponent to scry stuff. If they're keeping stuff, that's really scary. They can draw a card. So if we found like a Bowmasters, that might be able to sneakily hit them, but they're going to do it right now. They're up on life. Okay, they've got so much mana. If they find like a 1 ring, the game is over, unfortunately. If I can find a freaking Brainstorm, please. Oh, this is not good enough. I'm going to swing for 1. And then if they have the foresight to make this unblockable, there's nothing we can do. But we do have a Bowmaster that can come in and potentially surprise them. And they disincentivize to attack because then Kaito comes in. But, I mean, they can totally take Kaito. He's not a threat. And they're just drawing to so many bombs. Okay, they found the Nexus, so they've got tons of mana, like insane amounts of mana. Defense grid, that's fine because we're going to need to... Yeah, I'm going to let that happen because that might give them a false sense of security. Okay, they can still use this. I'm going to fetch and go lower. I'm getting very close to death here. Get our swamp, I guess. They are attacking Kaito. Yeah, I'm just going to... Bowmaster here. Okay, so we're definitely going to hit them with the Bowmaster, but question is, do we block here? I think we do block if they let us. They can quickly... Okay, we go to block. Too late. You can't do that anymore. All right, so we blocked that. Now we're going to be able to swing back for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not enough. We need another Bowmaster. I don't think it'll be enough either. Oh, exactly the card we need. So let's see. We bounce this. We can stun. We bounce this. We can stun. And then we can also play out the Borrower. So we have like just super duper covered. The other option is, of course... Yeah, I think that's fine. We could, of course, bounce this. But I'm fine with just like getting this out of play. Stunning. We could also surveil into something that deals with this. Maybe that's fine. I'm going to attack with everything first while I think about it. I also don't want to run out of time because this is still game 1. This has been a very long game 1. I did not even think about that at all. My goodness, that was such a punt. Such a punt. I just didn't even occur to me. So stunning doesn't work here. I should have freaking just bounced that out of play. Now they can block and get a free lunch. Yeah, it just didn't even occur to me that that was a line they could have. Okay, so we might lose, unfortunately. They're taking 2 damage. We are going to go ahead and play this out. Sadly, that was such a punt. I'm sorry, my excellent friends. Final match of the day, and it did not occur to me that they can untap that. Yeah, and stunning wouldn't have been good. Like, we just needed to get that out of play. So this is going to come back in play. If they attack, though, we can kill them on the crackback, but there's a decent chance they're going to have something to do here. Oh, we can't kill them because they can just attack and then untap. So we need a miracle here. We need like another Bowmaster. They have K command. They have so many things they can win with. Of course, you know, One Ring. Just play it and don't even use it, and then just hit twice with unblockability thanks to Manifold Key. Yeah, that was a huge punt. 6 mana in the pool, not reassuring. If it's a giant K command, they can just hit our Borrower, probably is the scariest thing we have. Then they can stack their deck. They can hit our Bowmaster so we don't get a construct when they stack, or an army when they stack their deck. But I think if they're doing this, they're going to use this, and then they're going to get like 4 more mana. Yeah, this game would be over if I just bounced the construct. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's not a lock. We wouldn't have had fatal damage. We would have hit 4 or 5, and they would be at like, 4 instead of, or no, they'd be at like 2. There's the K command. They are scrying and drawing, so we are going to get a construct that we can use to block. But again, if they read the text, they can give unblockability, and they could have done that last turn. So you never hope that your opponent just misunderstands how their card work and that's how you get the win, but that's kind of like what we're reduced to waiting for. So there is the line of they're going to get pinged. They're going to drop the 4. If we find a Kaito, then we'll ping here. If we have Kaito, then we can bring Strix back to hand and we can deal lethal with Kaito. They've got another card. How many cards did they bottom? Oh, there's Fleshraker. That's not death, but that's close. 2 mana floating. Pithing Needle. Okay. So that is a ping. That brings us up to 6. Yeah, they did keep 1 top, and it might have been the Fleshraker. It would make sense because they would have played Fleshraker much earlier if they'd had it. So really, we're playing to Kaito exactly. I don't think there's anything else. They named Kaito with that. I mean, Wasteland doesn't do enough. The other Borrower is still pretty good. If they have a single another artifact, then that pings us for 1 and it buffs the construct to lethality. If that's lethality. Yeah, it would make sense that it's a word because lethal is an adjective. Lethal is often used in, oh wow, they're taking damage? Okay. Wow, that's bold. They didn't need to do that. They just left themselves open to different axes upon which we can win. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah, that was a bad play. Because they could have just tapped that and had the mana. Okay, so we might still lose. But they gave us like another out that we can just draw a Bowmaster. Oh. Yeah, this is deterministic, right? Like we just Bowmaster them and attack them, and that's the game, right? I'm not missing something. Yeah, they just totally punted by tapping their Ancient Tomb. So I guess one good punt deserves another. Skating by hanging on by the skin of our teeth there. Literally 1 turn from death. Let's actually make sure we click the right thing here. Yeah, that was an upset. Like they gave us that win. See you in the next game. I was like, see you in the next round. That was just 1 game. Okay, so explosives, very good here. I do think Harbinger's good. Force negations are good. Consign's good. Manually click them. Okay, and then we're taking out, I take out the Fatal Pushes. I don't think they're good. They can hit things occasionally. It's not good enough, in my opinion. I think Daze is terrible here, especially on the draw. Mockingbird, pretty bad. It's blue. That's its only redeeming quality. Like we've been pulling it out a lot. Now Spell Bombs come out for sure. They don't go after mana at all, so it's okay to pull the Swamp out. But if we pull the Swamp out, then Harbinger doesn't do enough. We need to make 3 more cuts. So Mockingbird is going to come out. I mean, it can mimic a construct, but that's not any good because we don't have very many artifacts. Kaito's pretty good. They're almost certainly going to needle it if they get a chance. Tommy almost went the whole way. That was a swingy game. My goodness. Like we went from like advantage bar all the way to one side and then back to their side all the way. And that was swingy as they come. I think we could cut. I can't cut any Wastelands. The Wasteland's pretty instrumental in this matchup. Thoughtseize, they're not applying a ton of pressure, but like Thoughtseize is important in my opinion here. Because they're not pressuring our mana any. Yeah, normally I would take out the Swamp, but we can't win without black mana. There's just no win con, like other than Brazen Borrower. I mean, I guess Maybe we take out the E. E hits Chalice. They probably have Chalice. I'm going to take out the Thoughtseizes. And my reasoning is they're not blue, and also they are more of a proactive card, and we are on the draw. This hand's great. Double interaction spell, engineered explosives, potentially just think of how good an engineered explosive for 1 would have been there. Would have blown up their keys. We would have blown up the portable hole, gotten our Tomio back, would have blown up the pithing needle. Yeah, this is a keep. 12 minutes on both our clocks after 1 game. This could very realistically go to time. They've mulled this 5. That's good for us. Hopefully they're all in on, a 1 ring or something like that we can stop. And then hopefully Kaito can come down. But Kaito is going to be the initial pitch. I did keep all 3 Kaito in. We do have 2 Thoughtseize in the deck. I didn't pull them all. But blue density is very important when you have 3 Force Negations in your deck. They can just, if unchecked, they can just very easily recoup the cards. Okay, they have a pretty aggressive start here. Defense grid. My instinct is to counter this. Yep. Kaito is going to help me counter this. They've done 2 damage to themselves, which is not a big deal against our deck, but now we have Consign Up. We should keep Consign Up. I want to reserve the option of fetching a Swamp here just in case we do take the other route with Harbinger. Harbinger is, I think, very good in this matchup. Okay, 3 mana. Pedal into ring. Come on, do it. Yeet everything. All right, so we can generally safely, they can still cast like a very pathetic K command here if they wanted to. All right, so let's do, yes. I think we take out the Tomb here. We just chill for another turn cycle. Yeah, denying the mana. I think I'm going to hold up Consign and just end step Bowmaster. I want to get the clock going. There's no point in like restricting their mana if we don't have a clock going. If they 1 ring, like we can Bowmaster. I don't think that's the correct thing. I think we do need a counter 1 ring. The fact that they're playing main deck defense grid, like how great is it that Vexing Bauble was banned? Like Vexing Bauble just pushed this into broken tier, what they're playing. There's a Glaring Fleshraker. I think we can sign it. Yeah, I don't really want to mess with this. I don't think there's any reason to replicate, but I will replicate to test to see whether replicate is working. It wasn't working earlier. Okay, replicate 1 time. Please work this time. Okay, and it worked. All right, same targets. All right. So their hand is almost empty. They didn't have a land drop this turn, which means we can waste them off of this, and that'll set them back. Could still draw like a Urza Saga or something. I think it's safe to just get the Bowmasters cooking this turn. Yeah, and I go for the Tomb. I know that they're hurting themselves, and it plays into our thing, but the aggregate amount of mana is what we're worried about here. Okay, another Urza's Tower. That's great for us. They're trapped on 2 mana, and we're coming in. Making our first entree into closing out this game. I'll go ahead and swamp here again in case I find that very magical card that's going to deliver us from evil. I always say things like that when I'm stalling to try to remember. Harbinger of the Seas. I don't know why it's so hard for me to remember that song. Okay, so I think what we do here is just ponder first. We could brainstorm first. This engineered explosives may not be good here. We could Tomio brainstorm. I feel like because we fetched the basic. Yeah, I want to do this. I want to put some of these cards back if we can find a fetch. Okay, Thoughtseize is great. So we'll redraw all these cards. I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize now. Strip what remains of their path to victory. Okay, these are all good cards. They could have Flesh Record last turn. I'm not sure why they didn't. K command. Yeah, I'm going to take the Fleshraker. These 2 cards combo together, and it's just disgusting. They're probably going to be able to get rid of something, depending on what they draw. Like, they're reluctant to yeet the Petal, but Petal's not really getting any better. The whole point of Petal is you use it early in the game. Currently, K command can help them cantrip. It does ping them and grow. The Bowmaster will get destroyed, but they'll get another one. They may not target. They may just create mana creatures, but they actually can't net any. Okay. Yeah, they can net 1. Okay, they're opting not to K command still. All right, well, this is good for us because it gives us a window to potentially draw interaction to stop said K command, which I'm going to go ahead and do right now. I'm going to brainstorm and try to find... Yeah, we got it. And this Thoughtseize is precisely what we need. I think this goes back, and I think this goes back. Like, I just don't think that the game is about Tamiyo at this point. I think we attack first because if they K command, we're not going to get damage. Hit for 2. Okay, and now we K command them. They're going to K command this. Maybe. They're going to get the draw trigger ping, and then we can ponder with knowledge of what's in their hand. Okay, here's the K command. The only 2 modes, if they're not willing to use the pedal, are draw and exile the orc. Okay, they are willing to use the pedal. Okay. So their last card could be just like a land or something. Are they just going to let us take the K command? Deal. Yeah, I'm not worried about this Mox. Now we can go ahead and ponder and line up our next big move. Again, we're looking for Harbinger. Force is great. I will take that Tamiyo. I'm not too proud to like Tamiyo this late in the game. I mean, the game is going to go on for a few turns. I think we take the Tamiyo next turn and we hold the Force now. And Baleful Strix is a perfect thing to pitch to Force if we absolutely need to force something. Now they have tons of mana. They went from 2 mana to 7 mana. So we definitely need to find a Wasteland. So here's what I think we do. I think we go ahead and Strix. And now we're going to be able to ponder into a potential Wasteland. Come on, Wasteland. Show me the Wasteland. All right. And the Harbinger. Nice. Okay, so we'll Harbinger next turn. But right now we just want to get that Planar Nexus off the table to avoid Calamity. I don't think we're in any real danger, but like this is precisely what we wanted to do here is just pick apart their mana and just hit them in the face a whole bunch. That's what our deck does. It's got to be oppressive and unfun to play against us because we're just like taking all their teeth out and then we're, once you defanged the dragon or whatever the dog or whatever, I hope I'm not like upsetting anybody with my analogies, but yeah, this is a Force here. What do they have left for this? They've got a Mox Opal, right? And like very little prospects. And then we're just going to beat them down over 2 turns. No, it'll be 3 turns, I think. Yeah, and we were rewarded for our patience getting the swamp. I'm so glad to close out the league with a demonstration of just how this deck can just randomly destroy combo decks. Yeah, and like what are they drawing to here? They could Opal, but they don't have a second artifact. There's nothing they're drawing to here. That's the answer. Good games. That's the third 4-1 in a row if you're keeping track at home. So this time we lost to Dredge. Every time we've lost, it's been to a combo deck. I've never lost to a fair deck with this deck. Actually, I'm sorry. There was a league that I played. The first video that I published, I think was a 2-3 or a 3-2. It was a 3-2, and I can't remember what we lost in it. Actually, I'll check. Okay, so this is the first video. Welcome to the Be Excellent channel. I think you're watching it right now. If you haven't subscribed.
Excellent.
Okay, so we can go ahead and take a look here in the very meticulously crafted. Oh, these were both Delver. So I did lose to a Delver deck, and then I lost to Grixis Control. Okay, so I have lost to 2 fair decks in the history of playing this deck. So that is, just to give you an idea, we've lost 5 rounds of the past 20 rounds. That is exceptional. That is like top 8ing Showcase Challenge, maybe top 8ing Eternal Weekend like caliber. This deck has serious legs, at least the sampling of things we've done here. So if we take a look here, let's take a look at the deck. So I believe that this deck is much better now that we've tuned it a little bit. I believe that Force of Negation is a 3-of. There's just so much combo out there, and it seems to be a good answer. I do believe that we need to add another Nile Spellbomb to the deck. Boom. So now our deck feels much safer against combo. Make this a little smaller, and we can just like that. Well, not quite. Yeah, there. We can actually make these bigger. Okay, cool. Yeah, everybody wants to see the main deck. People don't think about the post-board games, even though that's 2/3 of the games. Okay, so I hope that this third 4-1 is evidence to you. Like if you haven't been playing on MTGO, if you don't realize how hard it is to win, to get a 4-1, it's very hard. Like I have lots of friends who have been playing MTGO for like a year who have not gotten a single trophy and have gotten like 2 or 3 4-1s. Like you are just unlikely to win that many essentially coin flips in a row. Like if you consider every matchup 50-50, which it's not. But in MTGO, everybody's bringing their A game. You got the best players from around the world that are grinding on here trying to get better. And so don't look at this and think like, like I do great at my F&M or something like that. Like the level of competition you're going to face on leagues is much higher. Now, that's not to say that our opponents played perfectly or anything like that. But if you go to an F&M and you actually play, or if you watch an excellent channel, 90s MTG, which I'm a supporter of, and I've hung out with the 90s MTG team, and like, they're awesome. And I love to play at their venue in New York City when I go up there. But if you watch, you'll see people do all kinds, like people make punts all the time in paper. It's harder to notice that it's a punt though, because you can't necessarily see their hands. You don't have as much information. But on MTGO, there's no hiding. If you punted, like I punted, I freaking, what was it that, I attacked with Kaito and I had that was a huge punt. Like I should have just brazen borrowed the token out of play. And the only reason I won that game was because my opponent also punted and tapped their Ancient Tomb. So, but those kinds of punts happen all the time and they're invisible a lot of times because you don't know what's in the hand, or maybe it's part of some greater strategy that you didn't understand or something. MTGO, watching creators on MTGO, if you really want to get good, watching creators like Bosch and Roll, like, the ones that run Eternal Glory, Thraben Yu, Bryant Koval, amazing, or Bryant Cook, amazing player, and really great channel. Like I think the presentation, the way he handles everything, like he's kind of like my role model in terms of what I like to do. I don't really want to have my face on there and get the green screen out. I have all that stuff, but I don't think you want to look at my face while I'm playing. I think you want to look at what's actually being done, and not see like the cat come over, jump on my shoulder, and all the kids and stuff. If you want to see face cam, be excellent, let me know. But like it would probably reduce the amount of output I put out because it's just one more thing that I have to worry about and bother with every day. But I'm just having a blast jamming these matches, showing you all the power of this deck, showing you the power of Thoughtseizes in 2025. This card is like 15 years old, I think, and it feels like it's never been better. Let's see, when Lorwyn printing, that was the set that gave us both Ponder and Thoughtseize, 2007. So Thoughtseize has been around for like 18 years. Yeah, like almost 18 years. That's crazy. I remember this like it was the other day. I'm a 40-year-old man. But yeah, this card and this card, 2 critical printings in the same set. And they have been such instrumental forces on Legacy, and of course the first Planeswalker. And we see the legacy of Planeswalkers in one of the most powerful legal Planeswalkers ever printed, Kaito. And I don't think Kaito's overpowered, but I certainly think it's a power crept Jace the Mind Sculptor, which is, not playable in 2025, despite people trying to. So yeah, like I could talk about this deck all the time, but you probably just want to see me jam some more games with it. And I will, believe me, this is my main, like it's been a long time since I brewed something, and you could say, oh, you barely changed anything. This is basically just blue-black tempo, blah, blah, blah. You took a couple days out. I'm sorry, but like brewing in a competitive meta, you're not just going to come up with some wild new deck that isn't some variation of another deck generally. It does happen occasionally, but I think almost all the brewing is kind of on the margins, and I do consider this to be my brew, and I'm proud of my brew. So feel free to like pedantically say, oh, congratulations, you brewed Delver. That's like a whole meme. Like, oh, here's my brew and it's Delver. Like, I understand that sentiment, but like all you're doing when you say stuff like that is like kind of shutting down people's creative spirit. And this game is one of creativity and self-expression. Like, I am a control mage. I like tempo type strategies, but I'm not necessarily bound to tempo. But I always play blue, even when blue isn't as good. Like, you didn't see me fair weather friending on blue and going and playing Karnforge when it was the broken deck, right? You don't see me going into Reanimator. Like, I've resisted. You've never seen me play Entomb on this channel because I believe it's a fundamental, like, I don't like the card and I refuse to play it. And I have lots of friends who refuse to play blue decks and insist on playing like death and taxes type strategies and despise blue, right? And I respect them and their despising blue. And that's kind of a similar despisement I feel for decks like Oops All Spells and things like that don't respect, the other player and like really care what they do. So anyway, don't feel afraid to call something you build that is, 65 of the 75 cards that other people are playing are brew. There are flex slots in every deck, but I believe I've pivoted enough. The difference between the deck I'm playing here and the stock blue-black tempo decks is probably at least 10 or 12 cards, maybe 15. And I would consider that to be a brew. So I'll leave you with that very pedantic little rant. But I hope you're enjoying these, and I hope you're taking good care of yourself. And until next time, be excellent to each other and party on.